madness is descending. Have you noticed, maybe it's me, but I don't think so, there's more exuberance this year around Thanksgiving. And I know that'll carry over to Christmas. And I've been watching it. You know, Thanksgiving is always a good holiday, but it's a little understated. Not this year. People are really looking forward to this holiday. And it's because, in my opinion, they're exhausted. Folks are exhausted in this country by the rapid changes and by the challenges in the grocery stores and everywhere else. Pay more money. And they're worried. A lot of people are worried about stuff. And so when you get a relief mechanism, which is what Thanksgiving and Christmas are, in addition to being very worthy days, now people are really embracing it. That's a good thing. So we got a whole bunch of stuff we're going to tell you about, which I think will make your Thanksgiving better. I hope it will. And we will be around, okay, this weekend. It's primarily me. I'm giving everybody off, but I'll be around. All right. Anything happens, I'll be on it, tweeting, you know, we do. And we'll have a new column on Sunday and all of that. Talking Points Memo is the latest in the Ukraine war. Don't get overly optimistic here. All right. Because Putin, one guy, can do it. But U.S. delegation led by Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Tolbert, who I have never heard of. He's a spokesman for the U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll. They're over in Abu Dhabi in the Persian Gulf, okay, United Arab Emirates. And they're talking to the Russians and the Ukrainians. And the Russian, it's kind of shadowy. But according to a dispatch today, Ukraine has agreed to a peace deal. Now, you remember the hysteria over the weekend by the press that this deal is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And it was all bull, as we reported yesterday. Okay, the deal was not even close to being formalized, and it was just a first draft. But again, I'm not sure about all of this. So last night, Putin killed 6 more people in Kyiv, rockets, drones, the usual. And Putin knew about this conversation with Ukraine, probably knew that Ukrainians were going to apparently agree to a peace deal. Now, it's been going on for 4 years. Ukraine has lost 100,000 soldiers killed, about 300,000 wounded. 53,000 Ukrainian civilians dead. Thank you, Vlad Putin. 53,000 civilian Ukrainian casualties in total, 14,500 dead. And 7 million Ukrainians have left the country, including hundreds of thousands of men of draft age. There is a draft in Ukraine. They don't want to fight. Now, on the Russian side, about 1 million casualties. We can't really get exact figures because there's no free press over there, but it's bad. And estimated cost of the war to Russia approaching $2 trillion, and they don't have that money. Okay, I mean, it's not like they have a Treasury Department like we do. They get money from oil sales and others, but $2 trillion, 4 years, for what? Nothing. But Ukraine is very weak. And we said this yesterday. So last night I went on News Nation and I reiterated it to their audience. Go. Zelensky is very weak now, and for the following reasons. Number one, get 200,000 Ukrainian men are AWOL from the draft. Doesn't have enough soldiers. The Ukrainians are now paying mercenaries to do the fighting. Number two, there's a huge scandal brewing. 3 of Zelensky's very close advisors are suspected of taking millions of dollars in bribes from a nuclear energy concern in Ukraine, all right? Nuclear power. And the third one is that the Ukrainian army cannot get a foot and hold of ground. It's 100% defensive war. Okay, so you're dealing with something here where Zelensky is kind of desperate. And that's why he's going to make the deal, if he makes it. Again, very cautious. But Putin doesn't accept the deal. And Putin will probably jack everybody around like he always does. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then on Thanksgiving, he'll blow the hell out of whoever can do. So I don't know one way or the other, but I want everybody's expectations to be realistic, including the President of the United States, who I've not talked to for a while now. All right. I expect I will talk to him in the next few days. I hope so, because we have a lot to talk about. But Putin is the problem. There's no doubt about it. One man, all of that, millions of people, dead, wounded, displaced. One man. That's why I put him on Confronting Evil, the cover. That's why he's there. People go, oh, well, Putin, is he that bad to be with Hitler and Mao and the... Yeah, he is. This guy, I got to tell you, when I hear people praising him or sympathizing with him, over. For me, that means the person is not smart enough to engage me in conversation. Okay? And that's a low bar. I'll talk to pretty much anybody. So, summing up, White House says Ukraine will sign off on a peace deal that they have proposed. Talks will continue in Abu Dhabi. Let's pray it happens. And I use that word pray literally because I do believe that there is a deity that looks out. Because this has got to stop. But if Putin doesn't stop it, every resource that we have, we being the United States and NATO, got to be used to destroy the man. It's as simple as that. Enough. And that's a memo. The new leadership at HHS is sounding the alarm on America's chronic disease epidemic, and for good reason. 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure. Many don't even know it. That is a ticking time bomb. But the good news is you have the power to take control naturally with 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great tasting superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure naturally. Trusted by hundreds of health professionals, people just like you have already seen real measurable results. It is completely risk-free. If you do not see lower numbers in 2 weeks, you get your money back. So take control of your blood pressure today. Go to 120life.com. 120life.com. Use code BILL to save 15%. This is serious. This is your life we're talking about. 120 Life can help. Okay. Healthcare. Now, this is big for every American. You're paying a lot of money for health insurance. And when you go in and buy prescription drugs and everything else, costs a lot of money, right? And Trump trying to lower the healthcare prices and insurance premiums. If he does, that will help him in the midterms. If he doesn't, Democrats will have an advantage. Simple as that. So right now, there's a lot of negotiation going on. And it is almost impossible to understand it. I've read it 5, 6 times. It has to do with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. It has to do with government subsidies that go into there. It has to do with negotiations with Big Pharma. It's on and on and on and on. So I asked my staff, get me somebody who can explain this so even I can understand it. And joining us now is Michael Cannon, a Cato Institute Director of Health Policy, coming to us from Washington, D.C. So you got a terrible task here, Michael, because I read this 5, 6 times, and I just don't know. But I'm going to ask.
I'm up to it.
I'm going to ask my usual, simple, foolish questions. First question. The Republicans are objecting to extending subsidies for Obamacare. What exactly does that mean?
So Obamacare requires people who enroll to buy a lot of coverage they don't want, requires healthy people to pay higher premiums than is necessary so that they can subsidize people with expensive medical conditions.
Okay, but
that all
I don't.
drives up
Let me
premiums.
stop you there. I don't
And the
have
subsidies.
I don't have Obamacare. Good. I don't have to enroll, and if I don't want, I can get my own private insurance. Correct?
You can if you have an employer who offers it to you, or you can afford it off of the exchanges. But even Obamacare's regulations apply there as well.
But nobody can force you to buy Obamacare and pay their premiums. Correct?
Not anymore. That's correct.
Okay. But millions of Americans choose to go into Obamacare, the programs, and they pay more, you're saying, than they should? Is that accurate?
Most people in the Obamacare exchanges pay maybe double what they should be paying because Obamacare lards up their premiums with hidden taxes and mandates that just increase the cost of insurance to them.
Why would they pay that? Why wouldn't they go to another program?
Two reasons. Well, one, there aren't really many other options out there because the government took most of them away. But I'll have something to say about one of those in a moment. And people want health insurance, and Congress also offers people in Obamacare subsidies, massive subsidies, 80% of the premium. You can get a subsidy for this. Some people 100% of the premium.
If you're under a certain earning level, right?
Well, right. But in 2021, Congress increased that earning level all the way up to like $600,000 per year. Those subsidies, though, are going to expire. So right now, people who are paying maybe 0% or 10% of their Obamacare premium are going to have to pay maybe 10 or 20% starting January 1st. And wealthier people earning more than $129,000 per year, maybe up to $600,000 per year, they're going to have to pay the full premium. And that's going to make them mad. And it should make them mad.
Okay, but they can go and buy other insurance if they want to. It's just very hard to find other insurance, right?
Not really, because if you want to get insurance from an employer, great, you can find that, you can do that. But if you want to buy it directly from an insurance company, you have to obey all of Obamacare's rules. And the only exception, really, is a market that Congress exempted from Obamacare. Congress calls it short-term health insurance. President Trump in 2018 expanded the amount of consumer protections that are available in that market. And what we found was that when you exempt people from Obamacare, the premiums end up being 60% lower for most people. The coverage is comprehensive and on some dimensions higher quality than Obamacare, broader choice of doctors.
But there aren't a lot of companies that do that. You got to.
That's right.
How do you find them?
Because, well, they're out there. You know, United Healthcare and Anthem and other large insurance companies offer these plans.
All right, so you got to do some research. Go ahead.
But here's the problem, is that President Trump made these more widely available so they could last 36 months and provide better coverage that way. But those rules were in place for 6 years when President Biden rescinded them. So right now those plans could only last 4 months. And if you get sick when you're in one of these plans and then it runs out after 4 months, you don't have any coverage and you can't enroll in Obamacare for up to 12 months.
Okay.
So what President Trump needs to
I don't want to get too, all right, I got it. So Biden knocked it out and now it's much shorter. What President Trump wants, according to the dispatches we received this morning, is to extend the Obamacare subsidies, but basically keep it the same as it is now for 2 years. Is that your understanding?
That's what the reports say, but if he extends them for 2 more years, they're basically going to become permanent. They're not going to go away. But he has to stop them now.
But Trump doesn't want to stop them now. He wants to extend for 2 years to get by the midterms next November.
Well, what he wants is affordability. What he wants is to be able to say, hey, I'm making health insurance affordable to you. And all he needs to do in order to do that is tell Congress, I want you to make permanent those rules that I put in place in 2018, giving people access to Obamacare exempt plans. Because then premiums will fall by 50% or more for most people in
So he
Obamacare.
wants to go back to the 3-year window where you can get in there to Obamacare and you won't pay as much.
Well, hopefully he wants to do that, but he's not saying that right now, and his advisors aren't putting that in front of him. He's within like inches of the cup, and all he needs is for his advisors to hand him a putter, but they're handing him a lawnmower with all these crazy mechanisms that'll
Yeah,
just
nobody
create
understands
confusion.
it. Nobody
Right.
understands it. Okay. Now, the Republican Party in general does not want to expand the Obamacare subsidies that kicked in COVID. They want to go back to the original law. Is that correct?
Well, a lot of Republicans still want to repeal Obamacare, but at a minimum, they don't want to expand it. If you expand it, you get into all these fights over will the subsidies go toward abortions? Will they go toward gender transition surgeries that are very controversial
Go
among
ahead.
conservatives? And they don't want to have anything to do with that.
But I'm more interested in the affordability of it than the ancillary stuff. So right now, you have this confusing battle where Americans are paying a lot of money for their insurance through Obamacare and the others too. You say you can get a better deal. I believe you. But my question is, why don't all Americans then seek the better deal? Are they lazy? Do they not know it's out there?
Well, they can't really get a better deal right now because Biden rescinded Trump's rules. If Congress makes those rules permanent, then
Well,
most
give me
people in the
all
exchanges
right,
will be
just
able
go over
to
the
get a better
rule
deal.
again that should be made permanent. What's the rule again?
Well, we call it President Trump's 2018 short-term plans rule. And all that Congress has to do is say, look, the short-term plans can last up to 36 months. Your insurer can sell you a renewal guarantee so that it can last even beyond that.
Right?
You get lower price insurance, better insurance, longer term insurance, and it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime or destabilize Obamacare.
So why don't they do that?
Like I said, the president's within inches of the cup, and all he needs is a putter. And this is a much simpler message than what his advisors are selling him. It is a much easier or better way to assuage the fears of nervous Democrats because we had these rules in place for 6 years,
Okay, I got
and
it.
Obamacare did not crater.
I got it. Now, Democrats, they don't want any of that, right? They just want to spend more money on Obamacare, right?
Right, but if the
higher
subsidies worked, if the subsidies work, then why are Obamacare premiums increasing 26% this year? Subsidies are not going to solve this problem.
Okay, so why are they increasing 26% this year? Why?
Because they created Obamacare, they sent premiums skyward, and if people see those premiums, if they see the cost of Obamacare, they're going to be angry and they're going to want to repeal it. And so this is Democrats' signature achievement from the past 20 years, generation. And they don't want voters to learn just how expensive and destructive Obamacare really is.
But
so
the
they want
voters
to hide
already
those
know
costs.
that, though. They know they're suffering on their premiums because they have to pay out of their own pocket, a lot of them.
Well, they very few of them have to pay out of their own pocket right now. More of them will have to pay out of their own pocket when these subsidies expire, and that's what Democrats are trying to avoid. They want to avoid that price transparency.
Okay. Shouldn't the government just cap it? Just say, look, this is what you got to pay for health insurance. If you're in this income bracket, this is what you got to pay in that income bracket. Isn't that the way to solve this problem?
What the government should be capping is how much the government spends on healthcare, and it should be capping that at zero. If you want to subsidize people, the least destructive way for the government to do that is just to give them cash. That's might work in Medicare. I don't think it's going to work in Obamacare.
So you send them a check? I mean, I know about the Trump wants the healthcare tax-free accounts where you would throw your money into a healthcare account, it wouldn't be taxed, and then you'd build that up to help yourself buy the premiums down the road. I got that. But you were saying the government should send people checks to buy their health insurance?
What the government should be doing with Obamacare is giving people options, alternatives, so that the need for subsidies won't even be there, won't be as great. So because people will be getting health insurance on their own that is
Right.
secure, that doesn't rely on government subsidies.
But they'd have to order that to take place. The federal government would have to order that to take place.
Yeah, Congress would have to get out of the way of private insurance companies providing people
Right.
better health care than the government's providing.
And you really think private healthcare insurance companies would be reasonable? Because they're not reasonable in house insurance and car insurance. They're not. They're gouging the hell out of us.
There's a famous health economist at the University of Pennsylvania named Mark Pauly. He says health insurance companies will do anything for money, including being nice and reasonable. And so if you give the money to the consumers, and they have to
Yeah.
please the consumers, then yes, health insurance companies will do a better job
But they're
than
not doing it
government
for
agencies.
home and auto. Not doing it.
Well, there are ways that the government gets involved there as well and reduces competition in the markets for home and auto insurance. But
Right.
look at auto insurance. I mean, insurance companies have been innovative in both the markets for health and auto insurance by protecting people from their premiums going up after they suffer a loss. That's what they call accident forgiveness. You've probably seen the ads. The same thing exists in health insurance. President Trump did make that available to people, clarified that federal law allows that, but the Biden administration rescinded that, which means that a lot of people are going to face cancer patient premiums when they get cancer instead of healthy person premiums.
It's so confusing. It really is. I mean, it's almost discouraging to the point where the normal everyday person cannot understand what the deuce is happening, and they can't. So that's
Well,
where we are.
Gas pumps are confusing to people in New Jersey, but it's not because they're dumber than people in the rest of the country. It's because the government has banned self-service gas stations in New Jersey, so they don't learn how to navigate these issues.
Look,
People make their own health insurance decisions, and all this will become much simpler, and the population will become better educated about all of it.
I'm with you guys at Cato in spirit, but this healthcare mess, and this needs to be totally revamped, in my opinion. Michael, thanks very much. We appreciate it. I know it's a very difficult subject. Thank you. Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's an experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, mystery ingredients. Ooh. Well, Massa's chips contain just 3 ingredients: corn, sea salt, 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Real food only. Personally, my favorite flavor, Massa Chips Original. And if you love Massa, you'll love Vandy Crisps too. They make delicious 3-ingredient potato crisps. My Vandy Crisps favorite, French onion. Ready to give Massa or Vandy a try? Use code BILL for 25% off your first order at massachips.com or vandycrisps.com. Simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. Don't feel like ordering online? Massa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. Stop by, pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. We don't talk enough about those truly making a positive impact. So let's take a moment to discuss Delta Rescue, the world's largest no-kill care for life animal sanctuary. Home to more than 1,500 rescued animals, it is staffed by trained specialists who provide lifelong care, love, and safety. They do incredible work. But look, it's important to remember that Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions from us. I have donated, and so should you. Their founder, Leo Grillo, built a legacy of dedication and everlasting love for animals. So consider making it a part of your legacy too. Talk with an estate planner. Check out the estate planning tab at deltarescue.org. You can make a difference, even get potential tax benefits. So please visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. deltarescue.org. Okay, Thanksgiving at the O'Reilly house, very traditional. I put the parade on. Nobody watches it. Nobody watches the parade on NBC. Why would they? Floats, people waving, Snoopy balloon. How long can you watch that? I never watched it. I see it as I pass by. Rockettes. Never seen the Rockettes. I don't know anybody, and I live here where the Rockettes are. Nobody's ever seen them. They're there. Now, I try to get to Mass to be thankful that I'm in great condition at this stage of my life. That alone, right? I never get there. There's so much stuff coming in, people coming in. So I should get there. I don't. We eat around 4. Turkey, everything, the traditional deal. lay it all out. People serve themselves, sit at my grandmother's table. It's 120 years old, and we have a nice meal. Watch a little football, but not crazy. All right? A little bit. And then I look for a classic movie to watch at night. I'll watch The Wizard of Oz again. Not the whole thing, but I like the dog, little dog. So that's the O'Reilly Thanksgiving tradition. Everybody has a good time. No politics, unless they ask me. They ask me because I know a lot, and I'll tell them, but I don't bring it up. I want you to have a great Thanksgiving. All right? Take a break. 2-3 days, just relax if you can. And I will have a Sunday column, and we will see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.